Hello, everyone. I hope you had a nice week. This is our 12th week, I believe, and hopefully, you've been enjoying programming, coding, and making different kits or projects. All right, so today we're going to talk about loop exercise, algorithm, and we're going to do an activity with MakeKit. Okay, so let's get started. So to start off, let's talk about this question. What are the steps we follow when we breathe? Now, every time we breathe, we don't really think about it, but I want you to actually think and breathe. Okay? Now, using the block codes I gave in here, breathe in, breathe out, I gave out the answers, I guess. Use the block code so that it mimics what you're doing every day. Pause the video and come back once you're done. All right, welcome back. So most likely you would have said something like this. First, you breathe in and you breathe out. I mean, you could have said breathe out first, doesn't really matter, right? But the point is, after you breathe in, you breathe out. And after you breathe out, what do? We breathe in. And after that, we breathe out. And after that, we breathe in. And after that, we breathe out. And this process is what? It's continued or repeated forever, right? Until either you stop breathing for some reason or you die, right? So what do we call this? I mean, is it practical for us to write out code that repeats so many times? No, it's not. In programming, the least thing you want to do is repeating yourself, okay? It's something called dry. Don't repeat yourself, okay? So whenever there's something repetition, we use something called loop, okay? Yeah. So there are different kinds of loops, but we're going to be talking about some common ones, okay? Now, believe it or not, we've been using loops before in making traffic light and street light because we use repeat, right? So that's some sort of a type of loops, okay? And we'll be talking about that today. All right, different types of loops. Well, there are three major ones. One is counting loop, second one is conditional loop, and third one is infinite loop. I think the names are very self-explanatory, but just to explain a little bit about each one, counting loop, it simply means like repeat an action. Well, even though I said an action, it could be a sequence of actions, meaning it could be a group of actions, okay? So repeat an action a certain number of times. So if you want to say, tell your computer, hey, do certain things a certain number of times. So that means what? You have to know how many times you want to repeat. For example, I want you to repeat, I want the computer to breathe 3 times. Then you repeat that breathe in, breathe out, how many times? 3 times, right? So we've been using counting loop, okay? So whenever we say repeat 10 times, then the computer repeats how many times? 10 times, okay? So that's counting loop. A conditional loop, hopefully you can figure it out by the name. It repeats a sequence of actions or an action until a condition is met. For example, you can say, hey, breathe until you die, right? Or breathe until you cough or something like that. That's conditional, okay? Or you can say, hey, count up to certain, maybe not. No, let's not go that there. Let's not get there, okay? Or you can do this. Clean the room until your mom is satisfied, right? So that will be conditional loop, okay? You're repeating something until a certain condition is met. A third one is infinite loop. It's repeating an action or sequence of actions forever, okay? Now, infinite loop is very dangerous in programming because why? Once the computer goes into the infinite loop, it can never come out unless an external action disturbs it or interferes it, okay? So infinite loop is something that you have to be careful of, okay? Moving on. Let's think about this. We have a llama here. What is it doing? Yeah, obviously it's eating, right? Llama is eating. Eating what? I don't know. We don't care, right? All right. What does the llama do before swallowing its food? Well, it has to chew, right? It needs to chew its food. We have to chew our food too, because why? It's very important in our health, okay? Now, question number 3. How would one write a code that describe what llama is doing right now? Well, it's very easy, right? Chew. But does it chew one time? No. It chews again. Does it stop? No. Well, for this GIF file, it's repeating forever, right? So basically, it's repeating, 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 right? It's repeating. But in real life, practically speaking, does it true forever? Even though this GIF file that you see, it's true forever because it's infinite loop, right? But in reality, does it true forever? No, the question is, it's not. Because why? Eventually, it has to swallow the food, right? Otherwise, the llama will die, right? So you don't want that to happen. So the question is, how can we control that? How can we, what can we do to control how many times it chews? Well, there are different ways to do it, okay? And I'm gonna show you two different ways, okay? Because like I talked about three different types of loops, but today I'm gonna talk about the first two, which are counting and conditional, and we'll be doing that, okay? So how would you write a code that uses counting loop? Well, let's say, I mean, in order to do this, remember, it's repetition of an action or sequence of actions for a certain number of times, meaning if you want to use counting loop method, you have to know exactly how many times you want the llama to chew, right? Well, for example, if I want to say 20 times, well, you don't have to repeat chew 20 times. You don't have to copy this 20 times and paste it 20 times. But what you can do is you can simply write a code or wrap this function. This is an action, right? This is an action, and you wrap this in some sort of repetition or loop. Do you see this arrow? That means it's looping. Okay, so one time choose goes back, choose goes back, and continue, continue, continue. But after 20 times it's done, right? It does not go back because why? 20 is done, right? Now it goes to the next step, and next step should be swallow. You have to swallow the food, right? Now that is counting loop. Of course, this is not practical for this case because why? We can't really tell llama to chew only 20 times, right? So what do humans do? Humans usually don't really count. I mean, maybe your parents would tell you like, you have to count, you have to chew 100 times, but it's not practical. So what we do is usually this conditional loop. Okay, so you chew until what? Until until you want to swallow your food, right? So usually the recommendation is when the texture loses its when the food loses its texture. Okay, so when you're chewing, you know that the food is no longer same texture as before. That means hey, it's ready to be consumed. Okay, so what it does is this: the llama chews its food, and the texture is still there. Chews, and it's still there. Then chew, and the texture is still there. Chews again, and the food is now there's no longer texture. So he goes back and asks, hey, is there texture in the food? The answer is no. Then it will bypass chew and goes to the next step, which is swallow its food. Okay, so that means what? In conditional loop, this inside will be only run, but only if the condition is met. Okay, if the condition is not met, it will escape. Got it? Hopefully that makes sense. If not, pause the video and think about it. Okay. I'm gonna give you two exercises. Number one, this is the first one. Write out a code block or block code using a loop to draw 10 cards. Now pause the video and think about what sort of loop you might be able to use in order to make this happen. Welcome back. Hopefully you thought about this. So basically we have like one action, or you could argue there are two actions. You have to choose card and you draw card, right? But for now, what we're going to say is, hey, one action is drawing a card, okay? So in this case, draw a card that contains picking and actually drawing, okay? Now, but you could have made this into two steps, right? But anyway, that's not important. The important thing is there are two ways to do this. Without using loop, you have to copy paste this 10 times, right? Or 9 times additional to the one. But if you were to use loop, you might want to use something called counting loop, meaning you want to repeat this 10 times. So you repeat this 10 times and you are done. And you will have 10 cards at the end. Okay? Very simple, right? Now, exercise 2, very similar. Write out a code or write out a block code using a loop that draws cards until you draw an ace of heart. Okay? Think about this and come back once you're done. All right, welcome back. So in order to do this, the action is still draw a card that involves choosing a random one and picking out Of course, you want to repeat this how many times? We don't know. We have no certain number that how many times we have to pick this. So we have to use conditional because why? There's a condition. It says until. This is the keyword. Okay. So this is something like this. Okay. You draw a card unless card is not or unless card is ace of heart. So let's think about this. You draw a card, then it turns out it's not an ace of heart. Okay. So that means what? It's not. That means it's true, right? So you draw another card. Okay. And you do this, repeat this, repeat this, repeat this, and then you draw a card, and it turns out it's a ace of heart. Now you go back and ask yourself, hey, is card not ace of heart? But it is. So that means what? The condition is not met anymore. So that means once you draw heart of ace or ace of heart, then this condition is no longer met, meaning you escape from this loop. Okay. Now, loops are very useful, but it's very dangerous in a way. You have to know either how many times you want to exactly execute certain actions, or you have to know exactly what condition you want to escape. Okay. In this case, if the card is ace of heart, then you escape. All right. So that was it for loops. Next week we're gonna come back and talk about more advanced ones. But for now, let's talk about algorithms. Okay. All right. So now, if you have your tablet or your smartphone, let's go to Make App and let's go to Coding Game. Okay. So what I'm going to show you right now is I'm going to briefly show you maybe one or two solutions for the algorithm game. Okay. Now, if you haven't, if you haven't done it yet, I strongly suggest you do this. Even if you don't have your Make Kit, whatever, it doesn't matter. You should actually do this. Okay. All right. Now, up to I think up to 18, it's pretty simple. Okay. And starting from 18, it gets a little bit complicated. Now, I'm going to go through 18 and maybe number 20. Notice that I haven't finished it yet because, it got reset, but it's okay. I'll do them later. But if you go to 18, it's a little bit different. Oh, you're already here. Of course. All right, now the main space will not be enough. Okay. And we have something called function, right? So let's click on function. From now on, function space is also available. Now, function space, you might be, oh, what is this function? Is it math? No, I mean, it is math, but this is like a loop, okay? So you can think of this as inside of loop, meaning this will be sequence of actions you want to take and where it can be repeated. Now, if that doesn't make sense, pause the video and look at what is going on here. Now, if you look at what's going on here, there's a certain repetition you have to do. For example, if you think about it, forward, 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 eat, and turn clockwise. Forward, 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 eat, turn clockwise. Forward, 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 eat. Do you see that? There's a repetition. So that's exactly what we're going to do, okay? We're going to go forward, 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 and we're going to eat, and then we're going to turn clockwise. Now, what do we do once this is done? You go to the main and click on the function, okay? That means, hey, you want to repeat this function one time. But guess what? There are three things, so we have to do 3 times, okay? Commands are simpler, right? Hey, so that means what? It's getting neater, okay? Each function, right? This function contains series of actions, and that's basically, in a way, it's not a loop, but it's in a way similar, okay? Maybe I shouldn't have said it's a loop, it's not. But it contains a series of actions, okay? Now, if we were to use loop, then what we had to do was just one function and then say repeat this 3 times, right? There we go. Perfect. Replay. Oh no, I made a mistake. I made a mistake. It's okay. All right. Now I meant to go back. Okay. Now I want to go here. All right. Now pause the video if you haven't done this yet. If you have done it, then you can just go forward. That's fine. Okay. Now pause the video and think about what we can do. If you look at the main, right, that means we just need to use function maybe 2 or 3 times, right? Now, but remember, the main function does not have to be all functions. Okay, it doesn't. But think about what you can do to achieve or get all these 3 coins with same series of actions. Welcome back. So hopefully you thought, hey, maybe it's very similar to number 18 we did, because the squirrel has to jump, 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 eat, right? So let's jump. Oops, I'm sorry. Here, jump, 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 eat, right? So let's do that and go back here and function and see whether it works. Okay, jump, jump. Well, you're too slow, and eat, right? So we're good. So we got that first one, but what about the second one? It has to turn, right? Now, does it turn here? No. If it turns here, we're not going to have enough space. So I think, oops, I think maybe what happened here? Jump, jump, eat, and then maybe turn counterclockwise might help. Watch, jump, jump, eat, counterclockwise. Now, so that means what? Why? I am very confused. Um, it's not. All right. Anyway, main 3 times. So watch, jump, jump, eat, counterclockwise, jump, 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 eat, counterclockwise, jump, 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 eat. And at the end, there's counterclockwise, but it doesn't really matter because why? Before that gets executed, meaning put into action, um, the game stops. Because why? We got everything, right? All right. Next, we're not going to do this. I'm at round 23. All right. So please have fun with this. I strongly, strongly suggest you try to do all as much as possible, but hopefully by at least like 20, right? By this week or next week. Yeah. Because it gets more fun. Okay. I think there's one advanced one that I couldn't even solve. I only got 2 stars out of 3. I can't remember which one, but I'll let you know once I get there. Okay. All right. Now let's get to the last part, which is the make gap or make kit. So I'm sorry. So for the make kit, this is what I want you to do. Okay. Now I'm going to show you how to make it. Make it next time. But for now, I want you to figure this out. Okay. Now, if you go to the project, right, go to project and go down, and I want you to do this one, making anti-theft. Now, by the way, if you want to do something else, feel free to do so, okay? That's fine, okay? But I want you to make this one. Now, this is very simple, okay? You can read through this. Basically, it's a security system. When something gets near, it alarms, okay? So as you can see here, you have ultrasonic, we have a buzzer, and we have a LED light. So what I want you to do this is not only just copy this, okay, but I want you to do one more thing, okay? Number one, do this, okay? There's example code. Now you can change the coding if you want to. Now you can change the sound, you can change the frequency, you can change the number of like how the LED light will blink. Because if you look at this, there is no blinking. Okay, if you can make it blink if you want to. Okay, but I want you to make one more thing. So there's this ultrasonic wave sensor, but I want you to add in a button. Okay, so that means there are 2 ways to set the alarm. Number one, the sensor itself, and number two, a button. Because sometimes, I mean, like when you're present, right? Sometimes you're in danger, you want to alarm something, right? You want to press something. So I want you to add in a button somewhere here so that either either the sensor is causing or setting the alarm, or the button manually pressed button will set the alarm. Okay, that's your goal next time. And next time I'm going to show you in video how it's made. Okay. You can modify this if you want to. By the way, if you research into this, you can make actually music, okay, by changing the frequencies, I think. Yeah, so have fun with that, okay? Okay, for now, that's it. So yeah, I hope you have a great week and be safe, and I'll see everyone next week through the video, okay? Bye-bye.